Market is falling. Gold crossed 4,000 US dollar per ounce and it's now mirroring its 2011 chart. VIX jumped 30% just in a day. क्या ये बियर मार्केट का स्टार्ट है? Guys, stay tuned. अब मैं आपको बताता हूँ ये हुआ क्यों. It all started जब डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने 100% टैरिफ लगाया चाइना पर. And I'll read you this. President Trump responds to China's sweeping export controls, calling the move shocking and out of the blue. और ये ट्वीट था फ्राइडे को, यूएस के फ्राइडे, फॉर अस सैटरडे को. एंड 2 दिन बाद ट्रंप ने जब देखा मार्केट इज फॉलिंग टू मच, देन ही ट्वीटेड दिस. डोंट वरी अबाउट चाइना, इट विल all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it. President Donald J. Trump. Fear and greed index currently it's showing fear with current market condition. तो जब भी fear and greed index fear में होता है, which is red, I'll show you what I mean. So if I scroll down here, you can see the fear and greed index is 27 and very much into red. So if it's in green, it means the market conditions are good, investor sentiment जो है काफ़ी positive है, they want to buy, but red means they want to sell. Now मैं आपको एक ग्राफ दिखाता हूँ. So this is a graph of Bitcoin का price and fear and greed index. So red, green, you can see when it's a fear time or a greed time for investor sentiment. So अब जब भी mostly आप देखेंगे like 2019 में यहाँ पर bottom में it was showing red and उसके बाद price jump. तो it is a very good opportunity. Next time it was here orangish, again price jumped, again red, price jumped, here again red, price jumped, and it's green. So again red, but then it fell a little bit again to in the orange territory, and again it price jumped, and again here and here. So most of the time जब भी fear and greed index red रहता है, so it has been seen, आप भी देख सकते हैं कि it's a good buying opportunity. But what is fear and greed index? It is a collection of various data points to show the investor sentiment. जो हम जैसे investor या it doesn't matter, it's us people like retail people या फिर institutions. So it shows the sentiment towards that particular asset. So currently for Bitcoin, it is in red. And Bitcoin or the whole crypto market or any other altcoin follows Bitcoin heavily. So if Bitcoin is red, so you can imagine or you can, it's almost guarantee रहता है कि कोई भी crypto currency रहेगी वो भी red में होगी, apart from very very few exceptions. Guys, gold का price past 1 year में more than 50% बढ़ चुका है and currently it's more than 4,000 US dollar per ounce. Now, India wise अगर आप देखो, the price has increased almost from 1970s 184 rupees to 2025 1,20,000. So gold as an investment is really really good. Not only just gold, I would suggest, but diversification and gold should be part of आप लोगों का portfolio. Now, I'll give you an example how it works in terms of numbers. So, I have opened this SBI Gold Direct plan. So, this mutual fund from SBI, it invests directly in the physical gold only. You can pick any gold mutual fund which invests 100% into the physical gold. Let's look at the numbers. So if I just spend 10,000 SIP per month, if I'm spending 10,000 to buy this mutual fund or gold, मेरा total investment हो जाता है 12 lakhs का, and then profit almost double के आसपास 21 lakh. So overall 33 lakh I would have made. So अगर आपका कोई बच्चा है, तो when he started school, I would suggest maybe do this, and it would, जब तक उसके college time आएगा, you would have a good amount of money in your hand for his future. And if we just change the time period 5 years के लिए, तो यू सी इन्वेस्टमेंट, इनिशियल इन्वेस्टमेंट आपकी 6 लाख होगी एंड प्रॉफिट इज ऑलमोस्ट 6 लाख. सो गोल्ड इज रियली इंपॉर्टेंट एंड अ लॉट ऑफ बिग इन्वेस्टर्स जो है वो जनरली उसको अपने पोर्टफोलियो में रखते हैं. गाइज, आई हैव फाउंड दिस रियली इंसाइटफुल पोस्ट ऑन रेडिट. फर्स्ट मैं इसको रीड करता हूँ and then I'll explain. So as per the author is saying, for those unaware, gold reached as high as $1,700 in 2011-12. Then it plummeted to $1,000. That's a 41% drop. So if you were stacking gold, you would have seen the price of gold reach that level again until 2020. The author कह रहा है कि 2011-12 में price of gold has increased a lot, but then there is a significant drop of 41%, and 2020 for almost 8-ish years price gold का वापस 1700 तक आया ही नहीं. And this time is no different in terms of price increase, because price बहुत ज़्यादा increase हो गया. 50% I don't think we have ever reached in any year for a gold price to increase. But personally, I feel the current situation is much different and the price won't plummet because US dollar is still falling because they have a significant debt of 37 trillion and there is a geopolitical tensions, a war between countries and tariff. But one thing I agree with author in terms of bubble is if gold price reach $5,000, it might reach a level where you might see कि price जो है थोड़ा drop होगा. Definitely, this is where I agree with the author. But that's why diversification is a golden rule in investment. Speaking of diversification, look at this chart. It's between US market, S&P 500 and gold. तो अगर आप देखेंगे गोल्ड का प्राइस अराउंड दिस, इग्नोर द प्राइस, इट्स इन यूरोस, बट जुलाई 2012 में इट रीच द टॉप एंड आफ्टर दैट इट फेल एंड अराउंड इट टुक around 2020, March 2020 to reach the same level. So at the same time, you can see the US market, this S&P 500 chart is going up and up and up in long run. There are definitely some big fall around COVID here, but in the long run, it's going up. So again, I want to highlight the value of diversification. So I personally, here working in Australia, I make sure I diversify into US market, Indian market, gold, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Guys, now आपको मैं दिखाऊंगा the CNBC interview of Tom Lee. तो Tom Lee कौन है? He is the CIO of Fundstrat and chairman of Bitmine. And Fundstrat अपने आप में क्या है? It's a research organization which provide market updates and research to various investment firms. एंड आपने टॉम ली को डेफिनेटली देखा होगा मेरी पुरानी वीडियोस में, वेयर आई वाज शोइंग यू कि 2017 ही इज़ द वन हु इज़ सजेस्टिंग कि एलोकेट 2 to 5% ऑफ योर पोर्टफोलियो टू बिटकॉइन. एंड ही इज़ ऑल्सो नोन फॉर हिज बोल्ड मार्केट कॉल्स एंड दोज कॉल्स कमिंग ट्रू एज वेल. एंड रिसेंटली ही इज़ preaching about Ethereum is the next big investment opportunity. And not only that, his company Bitmine is already invested 12 billion US dollars in Ethereum as their corporate treasury. So now I'll play this video and I'll explain.
At Fundstrat, Tom, it's only one day. It's all, we get it. We're still, the bull market we heard earlier, still intact. But your take on today's move and what may lie ahead?
Well, Brian, it may be overdue to an extent. We've had a nice rise of 36% since the April lows, and I believe today's decline is the biggest in more than 6 months. But it's good to see the VIX spike. The VIX spiked at 1.29% today. That's the 51st largest ever spike in the VIX. So we're a top 1% move in sort of what I'd say the market seeking safety. And so I think it's a good flush that's happening today. I would like to say the market is, concerned, but as your other guests have said, especially Rick, I mean, unless there is a real structural change, this pullback is a buying opportunity.
Wow, 51st biggest move for the VIX. So why is it good that the VIX is responding? What does that signal?
It shows you that investors are seeking protection. And as you know, the VIX is a measure of expected volatility of the largest 100 stocks. And so a spike in the VIX is really a market saying, okay, I need to get out of everything, but I can't sell everything. So let me hedge it by buying volatility. And that is usually a sign of an interim low. I mean, I don't want to say I think markets are bottoming today, but we know that the forward returns are pretty good 1 month and even 1 week later. So I would say if someone says, are we higher a week from today? I'm going to say the odds are actually really good. We might even be 60 points higher.
Wow. But that's happened. That's what's been happening, as we talked about earlier in the show, Tom, that we've seen these buy the dip buyers come into the market. We get a day like today, the dip buyers come in, we're higher a week later. Do you expect that to happen again, absent some further escalation with China?
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible, Ryan. And I think that the markets lived through this February to April, and it was a day by day panic, and maybe there's echoes of trauma people are thinking about.
So Tom Lee जो हैं वो explain कर रहे थे कि VIX has reached 30%. VIX है क्या अपने आप में? VIX is a measure of volatility of top 100 US market stocks. Now, if you see this very interesting post where the author has said कि जब भी there is a move of around 30% or more in VIX, it always result in S&P 500 or US market. Within 2 days of the event, 90% of the time, the market goes up. So it looks like data-wise, it's a good buy the dip opportunity. Now I will show you the chart of VIX and the US market or S&P 500. And here you will see a lot of places where VIX has spiked. If you see here, the market dropped, but then again gone up. And again here, the market dropped and again gone up. And again here, the market gone up, gone down and again gone up. So whenever there's a VIX spike, it's definitely a good buy the dip opportunity. Now I like to show you the chart between S&P 500 and Nifty. So the reason I follow S&P 500 or US market a lot is one reason is because I have invested a lot in the US market. And at the same time, there is this good correlation between the US market and not only just Indian market and a lot of other markets as well. So US market generally shows a good picture where the market is going. So if you see there is a dip here. So in black is the US market and blue is the Nifty. So US market fell, Indian market fell. US market went up, Indian market went up. US market fell and Indian market fell. But the fall can be different percentage wise, but overall, if you see direction, the markets are following the Nifty. Now, what this means, I personally do dollar cost averaging. I work in Australia. Whenever I get my salary, I put money into Indian market, US market, gold, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Because I believe in them, then they will go up in long run. And you can do the same. And I like to tell you an interesting fact that why one should not look for the best day in the market, because firstly, no one can predict which day the market will be at its top and which day it will start falling. Second cheese jo hai, I'll tell you a study did by JP Morgan, which is the biggest bank in United States, which has almost $4 trillion as assets under management. So they did a study from 2003 to 2022 for US market, and what they have seen, those who have invested regularly, like dollar cost averaging monthly, like me or anyone else, they generally got around 10% of return. But those people who look for the best days in a year, and if somehow they miss, which they will because it's very hard to predict market. So if they just miss the 10 best days in the market, their return will be almost half. And if they miss the best 20 days in the market, their return will go down from 10% if you're just invested monthly, it will go down to just 3%. So another important thing when it comes to investing is it's not about timing the market, it's all about time in the market, because it's very, very difficult to predict. And if you check the history, you will not find any particular person who can time the market every time perfectly. Thank you, everyone.